everyone, welcome to this exciting journey into the world of economics. Today we are going to delve into one of the fundamental concepts that shape markets and influence prices, the captivating tale of supply and demand. Imagine a world where buyers and sellers dance together in a beautifully orchestrated market symphony. This mesmerizing dance is none other than the interplay of supply and demand, a dynamic duo that determines the flow of goods and services in our economy. Let's understand with this an example. There was a bustling town where the scent of freshly baked bread filled the air. Two best friends, Ria and Gia, dreamed of starting their own lemonade stand. One sunny afternoon, they decided to turn their dream into reality. With lemons and sugar in hand, they set up their stand at the town square, hoping to quench the thirst of passers-by. Excitement filled their hearts as they poured their first cup of lemonade, ready to serve their refreshing creation. At first, the response was slow. A few curious customers stopped by, enjoying the sweet and tangy concoction. But as the day went on, something extraordinary happened. The sun seemed to grow hotter, and the demand for their lemonade soared. Word quickly spread about Ria and Gia's heavenly lemonade, and a line began to form around their stand. The demand was overwhelming, and they struggled to keep up with the thirsty crowd. Ria and Gia realized they had underestimated the popularity of their lemonade. With their supply of lemons running low, they worried about disappointing their eager customers. Thinking on her feet, Ria suggested raising the price of the lemonade slightly. She hoped that the higher prices might discourage some customers, allowing them to serve the lemonade to those who valued it most. As the price increased, a few customers hesitated, but many were willing to pay the extra cost for the delicious drink. The line began to shrink, and Ria and Gia found they could meet the demand without running out of lemons. As the day came to an end, the friends marveled at the unexpected journey of supply and demand they had experienced. They had learned valuable lessons that the interplay between what they could supply and what the customers desired was a delicate dance. In the days that followed, Ria and Gia fine-tuned their lemonade stand, right? They kept a careful eye on the weather and adjusted to the price to find the perfect balance. That they should keep it at ₹10 or at ₹20 as per the weather. So when the sun blazed, they offered the lemonade at a slightly higher price. Right. And when the weather cooled, they lowered it again. So by this story, we clearly understood how the prices affect demand and supply. So hey everyone, welcome to JAIIBCAIIBonTips. Today we will learn the chapter 13 of Indian economy, that is supply and demand. We have already learned the definition of what is supply and demand in the previous example. Now we will continue to the more fundamental and important topics of this chapter, which are given in the Macmillan book, right? So let's start the chapter. Let's understand what is law of demand. Law of demand says when the prices of a commodity is raised and other things being constant, buyers tend to buy less of the commodity. Similarly, when the price is lowered, other things being constant, quantity demanded increases. In simple terms, we can say when price increases, demand decreases, and when price decreases, demand increases, right? Or you can say price is inversely proportional to demand. Correct? So when price increased, demand will decrease, and when demand will decrease, when price increased, demand will decrease, and when price decreased, demand will increase. Correct? So let's understand this with an example. Let's understand with this a table. In this table, as the price of the mobile phone increases, the quantity demanded decreases. When the prices is rupees 10,000, consumers are willing to buy 50 units of the phone. However, as the price rises to 15,000, the quantity demanded falls to 40 units. This pattern continues at a price of 30,000 rupees. The quantity demanded will be of 10 units, right? And you can see in the graph that when you buy the mobile phone at rupees 10,000, the quantity demanded will be of 50 units, and when the price will be of 30,000, the quantity demanded will be of 10 units. So you can see the downward sloping here, right? Here the slope is of downward slope. Why? Because the demand is decreasing with the price increased. Correct? So this is the law of demand. So let's understand the next topic, which is why does quantity demanded tends to fall as price rises. So it is because of two types, or we can say it is because of two effects. First is the substitution effects, which explains how consumers react to changes in the relative prices of goods and services. When the prices of a particular goods goes up, consumer may look for cheaper alternatives that can provide a similar level of satisfaction or utility. Like, I find an alternative cheaper good. The price of a particular good rises, I will substitute to other similar goods for it. For example, the price of dal rises, I eat more vegetables. Right. Second one is income effect. Income effect is a concept that explains how changes in a consumer's income can influence their purchasing behavior. When a person's income increases, they generally have more money to spend on goods and services. As a result, they may be able to afford more of certain products and may choose to buy higher quantities of those items. Like when a higher prices reduces quantity demanded. As price goes up, I find myself somewhat poorer than I was before. If petrol prices double, I have in effect less real income, so I will naturally curb my consumption of petrol and other goods. Because my income is the same, right? So I will curb the consumption of petrol. But if my income will be more, then I will use that element or that commodity more, right? So these are the substitution effect and the income effect. I hope you understand both of these topics. Let's understand the next topic, which is diminishing marginal utility concept. This concept says the more we consume, the lesser satisfaction each additional unit of consumption will give us. Why? Imagine you have a box of your favorite chocolates, right? Like we have here, the different kind of chocolates, right? The first piece you eat brings you immense joy and satisfaction because you have been craving it for a while. The second piece is also delicious, but you might not enjoy it as much as the first one because you are starting to feel a bit full. As you continue eating more pieces, the joy you get from each additional chocolate decreases because you are going to be full. Eventually, you might even feel sick or not enjoy the chocolates at all because you have had too many, right? This phenomenon is known as diminishing marginal utility. It means that as you consume more of a particular good or service, the extra satisfaction or happiness you get from each additional unit decreases. Like if you eat more chocolates, then it will leads to the lesser satisfaction from that chocolates. So the first units provide the most pleasure, but as you keep consuming, the overall satisfaction per additional unit gradually diminishes. So in economics, this concept helps explain why people's demand for a certain items tend to decrease as they already have enough of it. It also highlights why individuals tend to spend their money on different goods and services to maximize their overall happiness or utility. I hope this concept is clear. So we have already seen what is demand curve and how we draw a demand curve, right? So if there is any change in the price, keeping all the other factors constant, we will see upward and downward movement in the demand curve. But if there is any change in the other factors rather than the price, we will see the shifts in the demand curve. What are these? Let's understand. So first of all, we will understand what is the movement in the demand curve. If there is a price 10, 20, 30 and 40 with respect to the quantity demanded, that is 100. At price 10, the quantity demanded is 100 units. At price 20, there is a quantity demanded of 80 units. At price 30, the quantity demanded of 60 units, and at price 40, the quantity demanded of 40 units. So we can clearly see the movement in the demand curve, right? So here in A, B, C and D, we can see the upward movement, right? As the price is increasing, the quantity demanded is decreasing, right? At price 10, the quantity demanded is 100 units. At price 20, the quantity demanded is 80 units. At price 30, the quantity demanded is 60 units. At price 40, the quantity demanded is of 40 units. So we can clearly see the upward movements in the demand curve. So this is the movement in the demand curve. Then what is the shift in the demand curve? Let's understand that. In the shifts in demand curve, it happens when the other factors increase or decrease with prices being constant. Here we can clearly see the prices are 10, quantity demanded is 20, and here the price is 10 but the quantity demanded is 30. Why? It is because of increase or decrease in the other factors. So what will be the graph? Here we can see the graph this. At price 10, the quantity demanded is of 20 units, and at price 10, the quantity demanded is of 30 units, right? So if we draw a line here and here, so we can see the shifts. Here the shift is of rightward, in the rightward direction. So this is the shift in demand curve, right? It happens when there is a change in other factors. What are the other factors? It happens, the shift in the demand curve occur when factors other than price change the overall quantity demanded at various price levels. These shifts reflect changes in consumer behavior, right? Second, preferences, the change in preferences. Third one is change in income. Fourth one is prices of related goods. What are the prices of related goods? If there is a change in the price of bread, so we are not going to buy, or we will buy less butter, right? Because butter and bread are the related goods. How does income shift the curves? If we are earning more, right? If we are earning more, then we will buy the things which are more luxurious or which are more costly. Or if there is a change in preferences, like if I want to have Maggie instead of Yippee, so the prices, so there will be a change in the curve because of my preferences, because of the taste of the consumers are changing. So these are some of the factors which affect the demand curve, which affect the shifts in the demand curve. I hope these shifts and movements in the demand curve are clear. Let's understand some more topics. What is Veblen goods? Veblen goods, this is named after the economist Thorstein Veblen, who pioneered the principle of conspicuous consumption. Certain things, according to Veblen, become more valuable as their price rises. When a commodity is expensive, its worthy and utility are thought to be greater, and hence demand for that commodity rises. This is due to perception that expensive means better quality and positioning of goods, making them in restricted quantity affordable by a few. So what is that? Veblen goods are simply a type of luxury or status goods that experience an increase in demand as their prices rise. Unlike typical goods, where demand decreases as prices go up, Veblen goods defy this conventional behavior. The higher the price of a Veblen goods, the more desirable it becomes to certain consumers due to its association with prestige, exclusivity, or social status. For example, high-end luxury brands like designer handbags, luxury cars, and premium jewelry are often considered Veblen goods. Some consumers are willing to pay a premium for these goods precisely because of their high prices, as it signals wealth and affluence to others. And the second one is Giffen goods. This concept was introduced by Sir Robert Giffen. These are commodities that are inferior in compared to luxury items. However, distinguishing feature of Giffen good is that when their price rises, so does their demand. Let's understand with this an example. Imagine you usually buy bread and rice for your meals, and you have a limited budget for food. One day, the price of bread goes up significantly. Because of this, you can't afford to buy as much bread as you used to. But here's the surprising thing. You end up buying even more bread than before, despite the price increase. Why does this happen? Well, it's because of the Giffen good effect. In simple terms, Giffen goods are special products that people buy more of when their prices increase, and they buy less when their prices decrease. In our example, when the price of bread goes up, it eats into your limited food budget. You can't afford to buy as much rice or other foods as before. So you end up buying more bread, even though it's now more expensive, because it's the only affordable option left. Let's understand the next topic, which is the supply curve. So, the supply schedule or supply curve for a commodity shows the relationship between its market price and the amount of that commodity that producers are willing to produce and sell, other things being constant, right? So, what is a supply curve? Supply curve is simply a graphical representation of the relationship between the quantity of a product or service that producers are willing to sell and the price of that product. Price of that product or service. it shows how the quantity supplied changes in response to changes in price, assuming other factors remain constant, right? Now let's see an example of this table. In this table we can see the prices per apple in rupees. If it is 10, the suppliers want to sell 100 apples per day, but if it costs rupees 20, then they want to sell 200 units. If it costs rupees 30, they will try to sell it 300 units. If it costs rupees 40, then they will try to sell 400 units of apple per day. And if it costs rupees 50, then they will try to sell 500 units per day to earn more, right? So let's see the graphical representation of this table. So here we can clearly see that if it costs rupees 10, then they will sell 100 units. If it costs rupees 20, then they will sell 200 units. If it costs rupees 30, then they will sell 300 units. If it costs rupees 40, then they will sell 400 units. And similarly, if it costs rupees 50, then they will sell 500 units, right? So as the prices of apple increases, the quantity supplied also increases. It results in an upward sloping supply curve, right? So this is an upward sloping supply curve. What we have seen in demand curve, it was downward sloping, right? It was downward sloping. This is the demand curve. And what is the supply curve? It is an upward sloping. This is the supply curve. Now do remember these representation of the curve, so it will be easy to understand the equilibrium of the demand and supply curve, right? Let's understand the last topic of this chapter, which is equilibrium of supply and demand curve. Let's understand this with this table and this graph. Here we can see in a table there is possible prices of the boxes, quantity demanded and quantity supplied, and this is the state of market, and this is pressure on price. So here we can see that at price, let's name this A, B, C, D and E, right? At price A, which is rupees 500 per box, the quantity demanded is 9 million boxes, right? While the quantity supplied is 18 million boxes per year. Quantity demanded is 9 million boxes, and here it's supplied at 18 million, right? It's supplied at 18 million. Now this is at price. This is at price A, that is 500 per box. At B, it is of 400 rupees, and the quantity demanded is 10 million boxes and quantity supplied is 16 million. Here at C, we can see that quantity demanded is 12 million boxes and quantity supplied is 12 million boxes. At point D, 15 million boxes are demanded, whereas only 7 million boxes are supplied. At point E, 20 million boxes are demanded, whereas 0 million boxes are supplied. So what is the state of market? Let's see. When the quantity demanded is 9 million boxes per year and 18 million boxes are supplied, this result in a surplus, which puts downward pressure on the price. At price B, because 18 million boxes are supplied but only 9 million boxes are demanded. So there is a surplus. So the supplier will lower down their money, right? Lower down the prices of the boxes, because at this price they are not getting the equilibrium of supply and demand. At price B, which is 400 per box, the quantity demanded is 10 million boxes, where supplied is 16 million boxes per year. This creates a surplus again, and it leads to downward pressure on the price, right? At rupees 300, the quantity demanded and the quantity supplied are 12 million boxes per year. So we will get equilibrium at this state when supply and demand are equal, right? Where supply and demand are balanced and there is no pressure on the price that they have to lower down or increase. There is no pressure on the prices of the boxes. This is at the neutral stage. At rupees 200, 15 million boxes are demanded, but only 7 million boxes are supplied. This results in a shortage, clear, which puts upward pressure on the price. At price E, which is rupees 100 per box, the quantity demanded is 20 million boxes, but quantity supplied is 0. This creates a severe shortage, leading to upward pressure on the price. Here we can see the equilibrium state, right? And here we can see the surplus state, and here we will see the shortage state, right? So that's it for the chapter 13, supply and demand. I hope you understood the basic idea of this chapter and your concepts are clear, right? Now go to the Telegram group of JAIIB on tips, complete the notes and the quizzes in the paid group. That's it for this Indian economy chapter. You are done with this. Till then, keep learning, keep revising. Take care.